So what about to wait a little more to see if more people are coming? Let's wait 4 minutes more. Previously, we had many more students, right? We had like over 10, right?
Last week around 10. Yeah,
Around 10.
actually we have 42 students registered.
We have 42 students registered. It's like the course is a little too difficult. What would make the course a little easier? Anybody has any idea?
Yeah, it's a lot to memorize, so it's more or less.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Please, turn again.
I said your part is doing fine. My part on memorization has been very hard, so I'm just dragging myself and learn as much as I can. So
I see.
I really need to put more time in practicing and repeat more for myself. So since I have to do open a book, if I don't memorize it, I really have to look up it. It take a long time to look up.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and now after 10 lessons, it's a lot. So many things.
Yes, but actually, I started to know how Pali works, so I'm still learning, but not the way I mean, I'm not as good, but I'm. It is slowly improving.
So what do you suggest? Like, would anybody think that it would make sense to start from the beginning?
I think we need to do some revision.
Revision. Okay.
I think so.
This is the 10th test. Oh no, it's just 7th, right? I see. So there are still three. This was test number 7, right? Was the number 7? So it's for exercise 10, that's right, but test number 7. So with every single test, it's more and more and more, right? The book is making it more and more difficult. Every lecture, it's a little more demand. What do you suggest for a review, or how would you suggest a review? What we could do, I could like take, now we have 7 tests finished, so we could do the remaining 3 tests could be like repetitive. You could like start from the beginning and do the first 3 tests. So that's extra 6 exercises, right? The first 6 exercises, like a summary of those 6 exercises. I would just choose some of the questions in the 3 tests. So there would be actually no new questions at all. And but would the students be really willing, to learn for it? Do you think they would really take the time and say, okay, so I will check it again? Or do you think they would say, I already know it, I don't need to prepare anything? What do you think?
So.
You don't think so? You think they would be happy to go through the first 6 exercises again to prepare?
I think
Mamiaki, what do you
I would be happy because for
Yes.
me, each of these exercise helped me remember. Since
think
I
they would?
couldn't make a lot of time remembering by myself, each of the exercises helped me a lot on all the usage.
Okay. Okay. All right. And this could also open the course for people who dropped out, right? Because we would basically restart from the beginning, except that it would be super fast. All right. So for the next week, you can all prepare the first 6 exercises, exercise 1 to 6. And I will just select some of the questions in the quizzes, in the first 3 quizzes. So you will not be learning anything new. It will be a kind of like review for the next 3 weeks to make sure that everybody's ready, because things are going to get harder, you know. You just learned how to describe something, but no conditions yet, you know, no problems yet, no connections yet. You did not learn those things. So learning the conditions, like when this is, that is, you know, if this happens, that happens, you know, if I didn't do this, then that would not happen. So conditions are a big thing. And then a lot of new vocabulary is coming. A huge amount of new vocabulary. And feminine, you know, the ladies and the neuter. So the feminine nouns and feminine explanations. And then, of course, adjectives are very difficult. Adjectives, connections, shortening things. Yeah, those are things that are still waiting for you. So there's so much that remains, and we did not really do anything confusing yet. You know, the real confusions have yet to come. So yeah, it's true. I think this was a good idea to do a review. So let's go through the questions for the test today. And for the next 3 weeks, we will have a nice repetition. So all of you have time to go through the previous, to go through it all again, and hopefully get better prepared for the more difficult portions. Let's see how was the results. I see. It was definitely not easy. One person passed. This one is me.
Shivya, I thought when you say something, I need to finish the test. So I thought I skipped whatever the rest and I finished it all. I didn't know that I had more time.
I didn't understand. Can you please explain?
I said I finished the test too early. I did not realize that I still have more time. So I just skipped.
You have 15 minutes, but the test is made for 30 minutes. So you have 15 minutes to answer, because we meet, you know, from Vietnamese time 6:30 to 6:45. So that's the time you have of Vietnamese time, whatever, 15 minutes. And then when we meet, we are still waiting for students who are late. So you will have at least about 20 minutes for sure.
Yeah.
Still sharing? No more? I see. I'm not even allowed to share.
Oh, okay. I forgot. Can you try now, please?
So it was actually one person had 8 answers and one person had 9 answers. Yes. When I answered it myself, I actually had everything correct. Okay. So as you can see, the questions were definitely not easy. We had 8 people answering. So let's look at the answers. So today, well, what are the differences? Let's look just at the differences. It must be Bhanuma, because Bhanumantu in singular nominative is Bhanuma. Then what else was different? Panyavanto, the plural is with Anto from Panyavantu. And Sukhina is a nonsense. And Bhavisanti is the same. Okay. In the morning, the Exalted One taught the doctrine. In the evening, he went to see the wise. So Pato is in the morning. Dhamma must be accusative. He was teaching what? The doctrine. So Dhammang. And then Sayang is the correct translation of in the evening. Sayang is a nonsense. But Sa means her. Okay, that's a feminine. We did not go through that yet. That's coming in the future. But you all should know the word saw, he. And Panyavante is the only accusative for the NG5. So we get NG5. Show you that. Each of the declination has its number. And in this case, and the number that I give it is the number from the big table. So I'll show you where you have the table. If you go to our Viber group, you should be able to see there the document, the Microsoft, how do you call it? Microsoft Excel document. Do you have it, everybody? So we have here the Pali noun group, Pali noun groups table, and I will send it again because now when I search it, I can't find it. And here you get those numbers. It is very good for you to memorize the words for those numbers if they're confusing. So there are only 2 groups that are so far very confusing, and that is 17 and 9. 17 and 9 are really good to be memorized. That's the natta, nattaro, nattara, nattaro, and so on. And then you have 17, that's the bhikkhu, bhikkhu. But you did not learn it as bhikkhu, you learned it as garu. So the garu and nattu are 2 declinations that are very confusing. And you may like to memorize the words that represent these 2 declinations. Here. So here you have NG17. You have here garu, the explained declination. And then you get the list of the words that represent this declination number 17. It is the numbers that I'm giving it, again, are just according to this table. So I just go to this table, I assign it the right number, and that's how I learn it. And then we get here NG9, all right? NG9, or I call it 23 because 9 and 23 are a little different. So that's bhata, bhataro, and here we have natta, nattaro. How are they different? That it's short. it ends by aro, where for the brother, and it ends by aro for the grandson. So they're actually a little different. The particular difference is in this long and short a. So these are the declinations. It's very good if you can memorize the declinations. I personally can't imagine how you could be right if you don't memorize them. So now it's quite a lot. Now it's quite a few. Now you have memorized now you have memorized the Purisa. You have memorized this Gunava also, right? That's right.
Yes.
That was this last one, NG5. Then you have well, Sapta, you also have NG9, NG13, Aki, that was the fire. Then you have NG15, NG17, and you get Gotrabhu NG20, and with the Pitaro, you get NG23. It's not in here, but I take it as 23 because it's not in here, but it's very similar to the what was that NG? That was the Napta. That's right. Very similar to NG9, 9 and 23. So how many are these? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 11, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, and with the 23, it's 9. So you have about 10 declinations that you need to know by heart, both singular and plural. So it's not little. It's not little. And if you don't memorize it, it will be difficult because the feminine and the neutral will be very different. So this will be a problem if you don't know this. Okay, so Panyavante is the only accusative for this declination. Panyavante. Here it is. Gunavante. So there's only one option for plural accusative. And that's what we wanted here. And then some is here. He, I see the difference here is sayo, sayang. Sayo is not a word. Sayang is the only one correct. Okay, let's continue. Mamang and Maihang is the same. Bhata or Bhato. So again, you need to know the declination. If you think that it is number 1, then it would be Bhato, but unfortunately, it is not 1. It is 17, right? No, it's like the Pitara. So it's the 23. It's the 9, 23 or 9. So Bhata, like Pita, father. Ahing, be careful. Asi is a sword. Ahi is a snake. Then what else is different? Monsunati, it's okay. Suve, pura. So suve is tomorrow. Pura is before. So it's a different word, different translation. Bhikkhu, yes, again, you need to know that it is bhikkhu. Bhikkhu would be total nonsense. But, you know, it would be, for example, rukkho or bhupalo or puriso. But this is a noun of a different category and it must be therefore bhikkhu. Himavantang, it's the accusative, and satima chasilava. So that's a nonsense. Satimantu silavantu is the how to call this, is the base word without declination. For getting nominative, you will need to use the nominative case. Wise people are virtuous, fortunate people are mindful. So panyavanto is the same, both are correct, but silavanta is the correct version. Silavantamha is wrong. Interestingly, if you understand the grammar system a little, you would know that these two words must be in the same form. Just like here, these two words must be in the same form. They should not change. So if you know the fact that somebody is something, then this somebody and the something must be in the same form. Well, that will make you know, the language use much easier for you. Here, what do we have different is bhavisanti, but the question is present tense, so it must be bhavanti. All right, this was more about vocabulary. So the rich is dhanavanto. I see. Dhanavanto, dhanavanta is the same thing. So next we have powerful. Powerful is balavanto. So either B or D. Then we get high case, high caste. So that's kulavanta, not yasavanto. And since here, starting from the third word, you already know that only D is correct. Any other change? Any other difference? Punyavantanang punyavante. Again, here this is accusative because they protect who, what. So it's an accusative, and therefore only A or D would be correct for this particular word. The king listened to the doctrine from a monk, later ascended a mountain, now he is a sage. So bhupalo bhikkhuna. If it is bhikkhunaya, is it no total nonsense? Bhikkhuna, bhikkhusa, bhikkhusa, my gosh. Let me see. No, must be bhikkhuna. Bhikkhusa would be that it's his, but we want here from. Okay, from and of, it's a problem we were resolving already since the first exercise. So because it is from, it must be bhikkhuna. If it would be of, it would be bhikkhusa. What's the difference? Bhikkhusa would be that this is the teachings that the monk found out himself, that the monk is the Buddha. Well, then it would be bhikkhusa. If it is that you just heard it from him, that means he delivered it to you, but it's not his possession, it's not his invention, it's not his own, you know, finding. Well, then you will have to use bhikkhuna. Here, Sune, you definitely do not know Sune, so I knew because we don't have it in the book that past tense for sunati is suni. You could theoretically, you know, like realize it, but this is not the main point here to use. The main point here was to decline the word bhikkhu correctly. If you did it correctly, then the rest really doesn't matter anymore. Pure is a nonsense. It's either pura in the past or it is pacha later. Here we want later, so it is pacha. getting idane. So muni, yes, this was very interesting. Muni, the nominative for the muni is actually with a long I. It cannot be short. It's a very little detail that I think is interesting. You know it from the declination for pakki, for the bird. Let's see where it is. Here it is, pakki. You see, we get here only one version, and that is with long I. The fathers of the intelligent become fortunate. So, of the intelligent. So it must be genitive. Buddhimantanang pitaro. Cannot be pitara, is a nonsense. For pitu, father, you need to use the plural as pitaro. Panyavanta, punyavanta, and punyavanto is the same thing. Both are correct. Bhavanti is fine. So you had to resolve only these two words. So buddhimanta sana is a nonsense. So you need to get this one. Is it pitara or pitaro? No, it is pitaro. Let's check it out anyway. You see, the plural for nominative is only one kind, hataro. Cannot use pitara, totally impossible. Those who have wisdom are the knowers of the mindful man's doctrine. So we get a lot of words that are very similar regarding knowledge and understanding and wisdom. So you get panyavantu, you get buddhimantu, you get vinyatu, you get vidu. So you get at least 4 words, maybe even more, that are relatively the same. So it's very difficult to learn with this kind of variety for the same meaning, but I worry that it's going to be worse. So you may like to be careful, and maybe when you write down these words, you may like to combine them into one, so that when you learn, for example, wise, then you get there all of those synonyms. And it may make this learning also more interesting, because you are putting together things that are similar, and that engages the mind and makes you more happy about the work, because you have done something that was not available before. So panyavanto, why is it? Yes, panyavanto, panyavanta, both are correct. Vidunang or vidusu. So we will need to use here genitive. Vidusu means in or on the wise. So total nonsense. We will have to use vidunang. The hammang is the same. Vinyatara or vinyataro. It's the same thing as the previous question. Could you say pitara as plural, or did we have pitara? Yes, here it's the same thing. Only pitaro is correct, not pitara. In the same way, you get vinyataro is correct, vinyatara is not correct. It's actually the same grammatical point. Let's look at the last one. Formerly, your teacher's young ones saw the kings. Today, they meet the fortune. So, pura means formerly, pacha means later. So, already from the first word, you would know that there are only 2 options that make sense in the beginning. Then, sataranang or sataresu. So, again, sataresu means on or in the teachers. So it must be one of these 2. We have already removed B, so it must be A. Now, to continue, susu and susavo is actually both correct. Let me see. Susu, we have it here, susu. And as you can see, susu and susavo both are correct. Bhupatinang is fine, passing su aja te. Punyavante or punyavantana. So that's again what we were talking about, the accusative for the declination number 5. So punyavantu is only one kind, punyavante. And that's it. Anyone has any questions, any concerns, anything you would like to ask or suggest? Something in the chat box. Should question 1, the fortunate be Bhagavantu? Bhagavantu means exalted one. Let's see what the book says. Bhagavantu. Fortunate. I see. You have both. Look at this. I didn't notice that there are 2 times there. So that's the problem. We will be facing this problem again and again and again, that you have one thing with many options. Look at this. Bhagavantu is the exalted one, fortunate, and then you get Punyavantu is fortunate. All right. But this option was not there, right, in the question number 1. So there was really no such problem. What's the question? You said question 1, but it's not question 1. Where's that? Oh.
It is a Shinpia in your test. The second part of it. Number 1.
I see. Okay. Well, you didn't have any option for Bhagavantu or Panyavantu, so it shouldn't be a problem. I see. I actually made a mistake here. It should be Punya. Okay, that's good. Yeah, but it was the closest, like yeah, sure. But this was the closest. You cannot really say, oh, you made a mistake, so anything I answered is right. No, I don't agree. You have to choose the answer that's the closest to the correct one. Okay, any more concerns? More ideas? Punyavantu, yes, there was one letter different. All right, so this was relatively short today. Make sure that Manuela, you will be like uploading it somewhere, or what's the plan? The recording.
I will upload in the YouTube later.
You will be uploading. Okay. So after you upload it, you send a link. Everybody is most welcome to revisit the recording and write down notes from whatever you didn't know, whatever you were not sure. And for the next week, just revise the 6 exercises. It should be much easier because now you have been using it throughout the time. So let's look at that again. 6 exercises of the book, 3 exercises of our quizzes. So we got exercise 1 is for declination of man, of Purisa. We have there several words related to astronomy, food, some animals, some kinds of some human vocations. Then you get exercise 2. For that, you need to revise exercise 2. For exercise 2, I see exercise 1 and 2 are actually together. Then for exercise 3, you need to revise the verb. How do you conjugate a verb in the present tense? For exercise 3, oh, that was it. Yes, that's right. For exercise 3, you need to revise the conjugation. For exercise 4, you will be revising some other kind of conjugation of a verb. For exercise 5, you need to revise the aggi declination and several verbs and some nouns related to places and especially objects. That's for exercise 5. And for exercise 6, you need to revise past tense, and several verbs. So it's really not so much. It's really not so much. Should be relatively easy. You're revising present, past, and future tense for conjugation, and you are revising declining narrow and aggi fired. That's all. So it should be relatively easy. Anyone has any concerns about this? Mariana, I may like to send an invitation to those 42 people to come and rejoin us, saying that you're reviewing the lectures. So whoever dropped out will have now a chance to rejoin us and see if they can continue. And I can tell for me, it's also a big pressure. It's so much. It's such a huge amount of declination and conjugation, and vocabulary, and a lot of those things I've never learned before. I'm thinking, like, how did I learn Pali? How did I do like 40 lessons of Pali when I don't know these things? So I have translated so much already from Pali to English, but most of the time when I translate from Pali to English, I use Burmese translation. So because of the Burmese translation, I'm not really so much concerned about any confusions, about any ambiguities, like two senses in one word, because the Burmese translation gives one sense and provides nice clarity. And so I'm not really, used to resolve problems in Pali language, because I just translate the Burmese while looking at Pali. So that's another reason why I was not aware that I'm missing these things. But I'm happy to know these things. The aim is that after several lessons, maybe after we get the first volume, we will probably look at translating some real scriptures. So you will then use your skills. There is, just to motivate you a little, not sure whether this will motivate you or intimidate you, but there is a huge project that I have prepared, and for which I need at least 5 people. I need 5 people to help me with this project. And that's a project of translating the commentaries to Majjhima Nikaya. So Majjhima Nikaya are the middle-length discourses. They're some of the most famous original teachings of the Buddha. They are already translated in English. But as for the Majjhima Nikaya, let's see where I have it. So as for the Majjhima Nikaya, we get also commentaries. So these are explanations written by great masters. Now here what you see in this table, you see the list of the discourses. It's 152 teachings, 152 discourses given by the Buddha. It's a lot and a lot of text. So what I plan to do, and I've already done it with one, I've already translated number 100. It's already done. That's why it's in green. That's translated by me. It was not translated before this commentary. And the translation in the end ends up being 100 pages of text. So you get 100 pages for one discourse. Some discourses are shorter, some are longer, but if they are relatively as long as 100, imagine how many pages will we have at the end when the commentary is finished. 152 times 100. So it's like 15,000 pages of translation. So hopefully now you can understand that I cannot do it alone. Okay, so the idea is that if I have like 5 helping translator, we will be 5 times faster. I will be happy to do the editing, to do the checking, proofreading, to answer any questions, to provide software. And hopefully within like 10 years, we can finish it. This is a huge thing. It's not a small thing. Many of these discourses are already translated as the commentaries. And they're published as book, each of them. All right. So they're not here because we will be translating them anew. We can, look at those at the book, but we have to translate anew so that it is consistent and we have full rights, to distribute it to anyone. So it's totally free from copyright. That's the main point. They are actually, I think all of them are also free from copyright. They're actually free for distribution, but not free from copyright. So I would like to have all of the freedom, over those translations. So we can publish them in any way, we can copy them in any way, change them, correct them, and we do not need to wait for some publisher's approval or whatever. And we can also publish them. We can also apply at any publisher and we can publish them freely for free. So this is my intention. Now I will show you how one translation is finished, how it looks like. So the point is that it contains both the commentaries and sub-commentaries. So how am I going to open it? So this is the translation of, you see, translating something is not just about taking the text and translating it. You also are supposed, you're expected to have an amazing knowledge of all the scriptures so that you can provide some additional information about the scriptures. I will be very happy to add it to your translations, no problem. Here I have, so this is basically explanation of Sangarava Suttas, that's the name of the discourse. We have various Sangarava Suttas in our scriptures, but they are about something else. Sangarava is a name of a person. It seems several people were called Sangarava, so we have several discourses taught to Sangarava, and therefore there are several. So each of these paragraphs explain what each of these discourses contain, and then I explain why. Then I explain what is the Majjhima Nikaya version that I'm translating here. And so this is here, Majjhima Nikaya Sangarava Sutta. We see that there is a similarity with a different sutta. These are all scholarly things. And this I can do very easily. This is very easy for me. And then I am providing here a comparison of Sangarava Sutta to other 3 suttas. So there are 4 suttas which contain similar things. Namely, they're talking about the Buddha's life. And all of these 4 are in the Majjhima Nikaya. All 4 are Majjhima. There are many other discourses which describe the Buddha's teachings, but just taking the Majjhima Nikaya, just taking these 152 discourses, 4 out of them talk about the Buddha's life, and they contain the same paragraphs. So these little arrows show you the same paragraphs. So for example, here Pasarasi has altogether 6 paragraphs. And these paragraphs are exactly the same, not the 272 to 275. So actually it's more, right? 272 to 287. So that's 16 paragraphs. And two of the paragraphs are similar to the paragraph 371 in the sutta number 36. Two of them are exactly the same as 372 and 373. And also 277 and 278 are paragraphs which are exactly the same as paragraphs 475 and 476 in sutta number 100. And paragraph 279 is similar to the paragraph 477. So you can imagine that I spent a long time trying to find the comparison and similarities between all of these four suttas. But the idea here is to show this how, you know, the amount of the similarity and identity in the suttas. So you can see that the Sutta 36 and 100 are very similar. Some of the paragraphs are exactly the same, and some of them are very similar. And while you could see that the Sutta number 26 and Sutta number 4 have nothing in common. Nothing. Totally nothing. But both of them are apparently sourcing out from these two suttas, 36 or 100. It's not really sourcing. That would be related to history. But I'd be saying about the duplication. So the Buddha was repeating himself. You see? In some cases, he would repeat himself 3 times the same paragraph. You get it in 26, in 36, and in 100. So, for example, this paragraph 228 is the same as 372 in 36, and the same as paragraph 476 in Sutta number 100. So the Buddha repeated himself exactly in the same words. So that, I think, is definitely interesting. It doesn't really say anything. It's just interesting. You can make some conclusions, as some frivolous monks who have little faith, they are making their conclusions saying, oh, that's not really the Buddha's teachings. Oh, this is copied. Oh, this one was earlier and this one was later made, and so on. I don't make them because it's a total nonsense and there is no reason to do this. But some monks love doing it. Those are just their own conjectures. I call them bubbles because whenever I see them, I touch them and they burst. Useless ideas. But again, this is definitely important for us as the translators, because for us as the translators, when we start to translate, for example, now number 100 is complete. That's this one, that's this document. So when we start to translate, for example, 26, well, then we will take these paragraphs and we just copy paste them into the new translation. So we do not have, you know, several versions. And when we translate, let's say, Majjhima Nikaya 4, again, we will take the paragraphs in 36 and we will copy paste them because they're exactly the same. And we will take some paragraphs, I see no need, but we will take 486 from Sutta number 100 and copy paste that as well. So you see, for translators, this is definitely very important. So the ideas, and I actually didn't show you how I would like to see you helping with this project. So as you can see, it works like this in tables. So you get Pali text, and by the right side, you get English translation. So what you will get when you start working on this project, you will get just the Pali tables. You will get just the Pali tables colored so that you know what is commentary, what is the sub-commentary, what is the main text. And so you get the Pali and you can start translating. Okay, so Evang me sutang, so you will write 272. Thus have I heard. Ekang samyang bhagava. Okay, so once on one occasion, the exalted one, Savatthi Viharati, stays in Savatthi, in the monastery of Anathapin. There are some letters that are difficult to type. Of Anathapindika, in Jetavana, or you could say in Jetavana, in the Jetas grove, in the monastery of Anathapindika. And so you have one cell finished and you just continue. And like this, you go one after another and so on and 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 on. So it's a lot of work. And you will see that you gain a huge amount of knowledge that's simply not available in English. Nobody can get that knowledge today if they don't know Pali or Burmese, or maybe Thai. But I'm not really confident about the Thai versions. So the Burmese translations are the best and probably the only available option in a living language. In Pali, yes, everything's available, but sometimes it's confusing. So this is what we can do as soon as you get through the first volume. That's until the end of the present book that you're having. And so you will be training yourself, you will be learning yourself, and you will be helping thousands and thousands of people to understand the Buddha's teachings. And I can tell you, the whole world, the whole Buddhist world is waiting for this translation. It's eagerly, impatiently waiting for this translation. That's the situation. The whole world is waiting for it. Now we have a chance to do it. So hopefully all of you will resist the challenges in this course and continue all the way until a level where you can start translating and really supporting the Dhamma so that everyone can have huge benefits. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.